Morgan Good for fightfan.com.au at CFC 16. Next to me we have Mr. Peter Nicholas, who's been an avid supporter of combat sports in Australia for some time now. How has the sport developed over the years in Australia?
2 or 3 years from now we're going to have a multitude of champions. We're a very tough race of people. We've got a plethora of races over here. We don't have a wrestling base, and that's what's held us back. But apart from that, you look at Muay Thai, the sport of Muay Thai, outside of Holland and Thailand, we're the best fighters. It's only a matter of time. It's a very educated audience. You don't hide like you do in boxing. You don't get to choose your opponents, and you're the hardest man on the planet. And there's been no catastrophic injuries. And you've got beautiful women watching the sport. What else can I say?
Of course, UFC 127 just wrapped up in Australia. The controversial decision between BJ Penn and John Fitch ending in a draw. Who did you feel won on the night, or did you actually agree with the judge's decision?
Look, the UFC very rarely get it wrong. BJ should not be fighting at that weight. If some of these heavyweights that are fighting at the higher divisions, at the moderate heavyweights like Cro Cop, do not go down, then Jones is going to dominate that division for the next decade. But obviously BJ lost that. He admitted it publicly, and I think you've got to stay within your division. He should never have fought at that weight. But I tell you, pound for pound, I still think him and St. Pierre are possibly the greatest fighters of all time.
BJ Penn and John Fitch are slated for a rematch. What's your prediction for the fight then?
I think BJ's got to go back to the lower weight division. I don't think he should take the fight. I think Fitch is going to win, and not because it's a better fighter, because it's a bigger man.
Okay, fair enough. And so with UFC 129 in Canada on May 1st, we have Georges St. Pierre versus Jake Shields. What's your prediction?
Jones, St. Pierre and Cain Velasquez are the future of the sport. I think it's going to be, a lot of people are saying it's going to go the distance. I see a KO.
Really? Jake Shields has had 15 consecutive wins in the last 5 years. So, you know, you think GSP is definitely going to take it out? It's
80% genetic, this sport. And you've got a guy that started wrestling late in life. It's like you and I playing ice hockey tomorrow. And he's beating the veteran wrestlers like they're nothing. I think St. Pierre's going to win comfortably. And I think he's going to, if he stays at that weight division, he'll monopolise that division for a long, long time.
Okay, so let's move on to predictions for tonight for CFC 16.
Let's not forget what Kenan Silveira said about Hector Lombard. He said, in a whole generation, in 25 years, he's never seen a better fighter. Kenan Silveira doesn't throw compliments easily. I think what we're about to see after tonight, when the demolition happens, when the Cuban sensation demolishes this veteran of the UFC, I think we're going to see a superstar. And I agree with Luke Bazzuti. I think that Hector Lombard will eventually beat John St. Pierre if they give him the opportunity.
There are a lot of people asking about Hector Lombard. They would like to see him competing on the UFC. Have you got any kind of speculation on this?
One of the hardest men in the history of the sport. One of the greatest athletes that ever came out of Cuba. He's an aggressive young man, phenomenal striker. He's a genuine black belt in BJJ. He's a master at judo. I mean, that is the penultimate. That is the penultimate symbiosis of the greatest, one of the greatest fighters alive. I think he needs an opportunity, and I think the UFC are going to get a massive shock if they give him the opportunity that he deserves.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much, Peter, for your time. So that's Morgan Good at CFC 16 for fightfan.com.au. Make sure you check us out on Facebook at facebook.com/FightFanAustralia or follow us on Twitter at FightFanAus.